So tell me, what are you scared of? Things that happen to us which are not under our control, like aging, retirement, illness, accidents, natural disasters, or losing a loved one? Or is it fear of things that are under our control, like changing our career if dissatisfied, losing weight, going to doctor, public speaking, driving, or making decisions? Or maybe it's deeper than that. Maybe it's internal, like rejection, failures, disapprovals, losing our own image, feeling helpless. But what if I say that what lies at the bottom of all these fears, the root cause is I just can't handle it. Simply the fear that we cannot handle whatever life may bring us. So instead of saying, I'm scared of illness, my job, rejection, or being alone, the more accurate way to say this is, I can't handle illness. I can't handle my job. I can't handle rejection. I can't handle being alone or the responsibilities or failure. So, the base fear in all our fears is, I can't handle it. But what if I told you that you can handle anything that comes your way without needing to control the external world? Hi guys, my name is Isha and today's topic is how to feel your fears and do it anyway. As the real crux of dealing with any kind of fear is developing more trust in your abilities. Trusting that you can handle anything that comes your way. Okay, anything you feel fearful, it is usually because you are not feeling good enough about yourself. Just pause and think about it. On days when you feel confident and strong, you handle stress and issues swiftly and easily. But when you doubt your self worth, that's when you start fearing those same issues in your life. Okay, so the simple way to handle any fear is by trusting yourself that you can handle it. Those self doubts are usually due to our past conditioning. So instead of wasting your energy now wondering why did I become like this, just start trusting yourself more. And the only way to do this is go out and do it. Feel the fear, feel the tension rising, and then shift your focus from doing the very thing you are scared of. And then you have done it. And I know it is easier said than done. But this simple concept of fears applies to everyone, no matter what stage of life they are in, whether someone is a chief officer, a student, or an executive. If you really want to grow in your life, you will always experience fear. Okay, and if you stay where you are inside your comfort zone, there may be no fear, but there will be no growth either. Okay, no, that fear will never go away as long as you choose to grow in your life. So what do? You feel the fear and you do it anyway. This is what every champion, every hero does in their life every single day. Okay, they feel it and they do it anyway. Okay, so do not fall into that when and then game. You will never come out of that loop. When I'm no longer afraid, then I will do this. When I will have more confidence, then I will take action. No, the only way to get rid of the fear of anything is to go out and do it. You must feel the fear and then do it anyway. Okay, all those people now who are making their dreams come true are doing it despite the fear they feel every single day. And the truth is now, someone may appear fearless in one aspect of their life, but we all are deeply scared of something. The difference is we choose to feel the fear and we choose to move through it. Okay, so remember, not only you experience fear, whenever you stretch your comfort zone, everyone else does too. Okay, and just because someone is at a very high point in their life now does not mean that they do not feel fear. They feel it every single time they choose growth. Okay, and you know what? Pushing through fear is far less threatening than living with the underlying fear that comes from a feeling of helplessness. Okay, we all have experienced that helpless feeling. Now, when we think that we are stuck, unable to move forward, frozen in a particular situation, believing that we will never get out of it. But the truth is, either you remain in the same place forever or you choose, you decide to take action despite all those scary thoughts. So, if everyone feels fear while doing something new, but only a few are able to do it, then it can be concluded that fear itself is not the problem. Because then fear is common to all. So, the question becomes, how do we handle fear from the perspective of pain or power? And here, power means the power within ourselves, power to recognize and change our perspective towards life, power over life, how we react to situations, power to do what is necessary, power to create joy, to act, to love, and to forgive. In this kind of power, now you don't expect the rest of the world to fill you up. It is simply the ability to get yourself to do what you want to do. Okay? And how do you do that? By taking responsibility of your life. So, taking responsibility means being aware of what you are getting out of choosing a particular action or inaction. For example, if you're choosing a person you are not happy with, the payoffs could be like you choose to stay miserable with him or her, or you choose to be happy despite him or her by taking ownership of your life, or you may choose to leave and find someone who is more aligned with who you are. So these are all the possible outcomes. Okay, so taking responsibility means figuring out what you want from life and then acting on it. Okay, figure out what kind of space you want to live in and then create it. Check your body, see what you need to do to be healthy, and then make it happen. Okay, taking responsibility means being aware of the multitude of choices you have in any given situation and then deciding, am I going to make myself miserable or happy? Each time you're upset, be conscious of the alternatives available to you. Okay, and how do you know that you are taking responsibility of your life? When you feel little or no anger towards any person or situation, when you know inside that they are not to be blamed, that's when you will know. Okay, and the moment you start making this change, another fear that usually shows up is the chatterbox in our head which start playing its old familiar script. Like, you cannot do it, you are not capable, you are not enough. Replaying those old conditioning thoughts you might have heard about yourself in childhood or during your teenage years, which do not reflect your present power, your present state of mind, or growth. Okay, so, or there could be thoughts that you may be catching from others at your frequency. The idea that we are interconnected, the idea of oneness, which means we tend to resonate with people or situations at our frequency. Okay, so we sometimes transmit those thoughts also. Okay, so whichever way you look at that, inner negative chatterbox does not define who you are today. Okay, so simply acknowledge those thoughts and create empowering ones in return based on your current awareness and growth. Okay, always be aware of the many choices you have, both in choosing your feelings and in choosing your actions. Choose the path that contribute to your growth and make you feel more at peace with yourself and others. Okay, now let's talk about impact of positive thinking on our fears. So how many people say positive thinking is like Pollyanna and that it's not real? Tell me, when you create so much of negative thinking, what makes it more realistic? If being Pollyanna means creating a happier world for yourself and those around you, then why choose to be miserable when you can choose to be happy? And for those who are unaware of Pollyanna, it's a story about a young girl who made a game of finding something to be glad about in anything negative that came into her life. Okay, our subconscious mind now, it does not judge or understand what is right or wrong, weak or strong. So whatever we say, it simply obeys. It can make anything true for you as it has access to universal energies. Okay, so a conscious mind sends orders to subconscious mind based on the information it receives either from our higher self or from our chatterbox. Okay, and we can train it to choose either. So if you tell yourself that I am strong and worthy, that thing stands in your way as you find means to remove your obstacles. Okay, so be very aware of your thoughts you are feeding it, whether it is I'm scared of doing it or I know I'm feeling scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. And your subconscious will lay a path towards whatever you ask for. Okay, positive thinking is like a skill. It is not something people are born with. Okay, you focus on the positive aspects and then they keep growing. You focus on negative and you will keep seeing the negative. Okay, so create an exercise program for positivity. Okay, maybe read a few positive quotes every day that resonate with you at current phase of your life. Okay, write them down somewhere, you can see them many times a day, and then keep updating those quotes as you expand and you grow. Be creative, try to bring some lightness to this task, make your affirmations a little more attractive. Affirmations are simply a positive statement that something is already happening. Okay, I relax knowing that I can handle it all. or I focus on my own blessings, or I peacefully allow my life to unfold. Okay, I cannot stress enough that positive thinking needs daily practice, just like any other skill. Yes, there is pain in our lives. We all experience loss and disappointment. No one is immune to this. But positive thinking allows the tears to flow, knowing that we will get to the other side of the pain and live a beautiful and meaningful life. Okay, so to conquer more of your fears now, each day do something. Take some risk that stretches your comfort zone. And the risk I'm talking about is the kind that increases your trust in yourself and your self worth. Okay, and when you start doing something new now, be aware of the pendular syndrome. So, what is this pendular syndrome? So pendular syndrome is, when we strive for a better version of ourselves now, we often overlook the mark in the beginning and swing from passivity to aggression many times before we settle into a centered, balanced state. Okay, so as we try to find balance in anything new we start now, our actions, our behaviors at the beginning may be inappropriate. It is important not to punish ourselves for it. Awareness is the key here. Your awareness of this pendulum syndrome should enable you to bypass some of your swings and handle setbacks more appropriately. Okay, look at the people in your life as practice. Now, the way you react to them allows you to see what you need to work on within yourself. Okay, and moreover, whenever you are going through a difficult phase in your life now, and someone you love is not supportive, just tell them that you love them, but right now you need love and support from people, and that is not what you feel from them. So, until they start respecting you for who they are, you are going to stay away. Make clear boundaries here. Okay, now, another thing that we are most fearful is taking decisions at crossroads. Okay, and here I want to introduce the no loss decision mindset. Okay, it's like, what if I choose this, but the other option was more beneficial for me? We keep ourselves stuck where we are, or even after taking a decision now, we keep thinking about the other route. So here you teach yourself this no loss decision mindset, and this will release a lot of your anxiety and fear surrounding decisions. Okay, one of the biggest fears comes from choosing one road among many. That panic of choosing wrong or making a wrong decision. We are so afraid that a wrong decision will deprive us of something. Okay, something could be money, friends, lovers, status, or whatever belief the right decision is supposed to bring. Okay, so for some reason now we feel that we should be perfect and forget that we only learn through our mistakes. Okay, but in reality now there is nothing to lose, only something to gain, whatever choice you make. Okay, notice that ahead of us are two paths, path A and path B, both of which are right. Both bring new opportunities to experience life in a new way, to learn, to grow, to find out who we are, who we want to be, and what we want to do in our lives, regardless of the outcome. Okay, so what do I mean by regardless of outcome? Let's say you face an opportunity to stay where you are in your job, or you can switch to a new one. Okay, now the path that says go to the new job will open you up to new learnings, new contacts, new ways of doing things, basically expanding your experience. Right? If you fail in that job, you might become unemployed, but then you will learn new skills to deal with the loss and learn to solve problems at that level. Okay, and if you choose the path B, which is staying in your current job, you may deepen your connections there, ask for promotion, ask for raise, and if that does not work out, you can still pursue other opportunities. So, in both these cases, there is risk, there is opportunities to learn, and there is growth. Okay, and this is how people think from a higher perspective, a no loss decision. Remember, I told you earlier, our fear is a lack of trust in ourselves. The knowledge that you can handle anything that comes your way is the key to allowing yourself to take those healthy life affirming risk. Okay, so affirm to yourself, I can't lose. Regardless of the decision I make, the world is full of opportunities, and I look forward to learning and growth that either pathway gives me. Okay, dissolve your thoughts about what you can lose and allow thoughts only about what you can gain. But before making a decision, do your homework. Learn about the alternatives before you, like ask professionals, read if needed, talk to the right people. Okay, what do I mean by talk to the right people? People who support your learning and growth. Okay, people you may meet in unlikely places who sometimes give you the most valuable advice. Okay, and if someone puts you down, now politely say thank you and move on to someone else. Okay, it is said that first time shame on them, second time shame on you. If people are insensitive to your needs, shame on them. But if you allow yourself to be bothered repeatedly, then it is shame on you. Okay, so do not continue conversations with people who make you feel bad about yourself. Always remember, you are never a failure if you don't make it. You are a success because you tried. Okay, a great researchers, after failing 200 times, was once asked, does it bother you that you failed all those times? And he answered, I never failed. I discovered 200 ways not to do something. Okay, if you keep trying now, your intention becomes a powerful tool in creating what you want. And moreover, now check also your priorities. Ask yourself which pathway aligns more with your current life goals. This is very important because our goals change as we move through life. So you must reaccess them from time to time and stay on track. Okay, there is no right and wrong decision, only different ones. So lighten up. Whatever happens as a result of your own decision, say clearly you will handle it. Okay, and once you have chosen that path now, throw away your perfect picture of how things are supposed to turn out. Okay, if you're too focused on how it should be now, you may miss the opportunity to enjoy how it actually is, which might be completely different yet wonderful in its own way. Okay, accept total responsibility for your decisions. We often look around for something now to blame when things do not go as planned. But when we take the responsibility for our actions now, we become much less angry at the world, and most importantly, much less angry at ourselves. Okay, now another fear that shows up after choosing a path is realizing that it's not going as expected, yet still being afraid to change direction. Okay, we become adamant that we cannot make a mistake, so we keep pushing in the wrong direction. Okay, but please admit the moment you recognize that something is not right and change it immediately. Do not stay stuck just to protect your decision, or rather, I would say your ego. Okay, commit fully to what you choose. But if it does not work out, change it. Sometimes we are so invested in making the right decision now that when we realize that we don't like what we choose, we hang on for dear life. We forget that there is great learning in even accepting that we do not like it and that we want to change it. Okay, so the trick to life is not to worry about making a wrong decision, it's learning when to correct it. Okay, the most significant signs that you will get now that change is needed are confusion and dissatisfaction. An upset in life can actually be beneficial because it tells us that we are off course in some way and we need to find our path back. Okay, so if you do not change the direction, you may end up where you are heading and you may not like it. Okay, and now the last but not the least, a way of overcoming our fears is by saying yes to the universe. Here, universe means the life plans that seem to take over despite what we have in our mind. Something operating on its own that interferes with our picture of how we would like things to be. So it is the flow in our lives over which we have little or no control. Okay, so simply by saying yes to what life throws at you, instead of regretting or resisting it, you let go of the resistance and allow the possibilities that the universe has in store for you. Okay, so saying no often means adopting a victim mindset. How could this happen to me? When we fight and resist now, we create tension and emotional upheaval in our lives. Okay, so in real life, the saying yes is a simple solution to dealing with our day-to-day situations like traffic jam, flu, a leaking roof, and so on. And it is also a powerful tool for dealing with our deepest fears. You cannot avoid pain, but you can say yes to the pain, which means accepting that it is a part of life and trusting that you can handle it. Okay, acknowledgement of pain is very important because when we do not accept now, it becomes a physical symptom. Okay, as beautifully said by Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning, the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Okay, so saying yes means you get up and act with the belief that you can create meaning and purpose in whatever life throws at you. Okay, say yes by telling yourself, I am finding value in everything that happens to me, and then let go. Okay, so start practicing this in your day to day activities. When something does not go as the way you expected, now start by saying yes. Okay, slowly you will notice that your level of fear begins to drop, replaced by a greater sense of trust in your own ability to handle the world. Okay, say it, it's all aligning perfectly, and let's see what good I can create from this situation. And moreover, be very, very patient with yourself. The biggest pitfall in all of this is impatience. And remember, being impatient simply means that we are punishing ourselves. So tell yourself, when I'm ready to move forward, I will. In the meantime, I'm taking it all in and I'm learning. Okay, in the beginning now your progress may not be visible, but those sudden insights that we usually get now, they are the result of everything that has happened before. Okay, so growth does not happen all at once. You become, but it takes time. Okay, so now the choice is yours. Stop waiting to feel fearless. Stop waiting for that perfect decision. Stop waiting for the life to cooperate with you. Just trust yourself, take responsibility, say yes, correct your path when needed, and feel the fear and do it anyway. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you can relate this to your own life patterns as well. And please share it with someone who you think needs this message at this phase of their life. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, take care and be happy. That's it.